Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over how to squash, eliminate, respond to objections in sales. I've been selling for about a decade and a half now, and I've been coaching and training salespeople across the country along with Fortune 500 companies. I know my shit when it comes to sales. I've generated over $100 million in volume, and one thing that I'm very good at in particular is objections. But there's formula and strategy when it comes to handling objections, and that's what I'm going to help you with today. The best way to master something is to truly understand something. So we're going to go through not only the 5 objection strategies that are going to help you squash, eliminate, and respond to objections in the perfect sense, but we're also going to talk a little bit of philosophy with you so you fully understand and look at objections in a different light, a positive light. Because if you're in sales, that's the only way you could look at them if you want to be successful for a long period of time. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you to like, subscribe, and share the channel with anybody you love. We're doing this for you. If you find this valuable, we have an academy. We give you virtual training, templates, playbooks, videos, interactivity, and weekly coaching calls to guarantee you success. We got a lot of 6-7 figure earners in there, thousands of people in the academy being benefited from every single day, and I lead you there. Now, let's jump straight into the objections. There has to be house cleaning items before we start, and the house cleaning items are the things you have to do before learning how to attack the objections, eliminate the objections, respond to objections. You have to make sure that you're in a good place mentally. So the first thing I tell salespeople is check your energy at the door. Meaning when you wake up in the morning, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Meditation, goals, gratitude, practicing in your head objections in your sales day and how many calls you're going to need and how many good conversations you're going to have and what you're going to do to create value. This is a ritual to prepare yourself for a good sales day. Now, if you have stuff going on in your life, I always tell people try to leave that stuff outside of the office, outside of your workplace, outside of your business. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but here's what happens. If you come into your workplace or come into your sales role with a bunch of bullshit and negativity in the back of your mind of what's going on at home, relationship, family, friends, bills, finances, it's not going to allow you to thrive. It's not going to allow you to hit that level of flow to get that confidence that you need to be successful. So the best way I could put it for you is bringing all the bullshit with you to work is going to add to more bullshit from work because you're not going to do your best and you're not going to perform at your highest. But leaving the bullshit at the door and coming in and performing at work, performing at sales is going to lessen the bullshit outside the door. Because let's be real, money is not happiness, but money could help you solve a lot of the bullshit and the problems going on in your life. So there is no option when it comes to sales but to check your energy at the door, put yourself in a positive mental state, and attack that day like a true sales warrior. Which leads me to my next point. A great way to be prepared for the day and have full confidence is to expect the bullshit. Yes, I said it. Expect the negativity to happen so when the negativity happens, you're not let down. For example, if you do phone sales, expect to dial 50 people to get one person to talk to you. Then when you hit the other 49 people that hang up on you, you're not upset because you already expected that. Expect to have 4 presentations and only get one of them. Expect your electricity going out. Expect the traffic jam in the morning. Expect you getting into an argument with your leader. All the things that typically piss you off in a sales day, think about the last week, last month, what has pissed you off and threw you off your flow? Write those things down and expect them. And once you expect them, write down how you're going to feel when they happen and how you're going to attach a positive action item when they happen. So when they do come and they do occur, you're like, I expected this. I thought this might happen. Here's what I said I'd do if it does happen. And boom, you pivot right away. That's a great hack to expect the bullshit. When you expect the bullshit, you take responsibility. When we accept responsibility, we have nobody to blame but ourselves, and that forces us to develop and get better every single day. So that's next. Take responsibility. Look, we get the same exact objections from the same exact bucket of clients that we deal with every single day. I don't care what service or product you sell, eventually you get the same exact objections over and over and over again. If you ever watch Home Alone, the brick falls off the roof and it hits him right in the head and he falls on his face. Well, if every single day you come outside your doorstep and then a brick falls down and hits you in the head, and 2 weeks later I come by your house and you come outside and the brick still falls down and hits you in your head 14 days straight, I'm gonna ask, are you an idiot or is there something going on with you? Because you haven't moved out of the way for the brick, or you haven't got a helmet. You haven't done something to prevent the brick from hitting you in the head. Objections are those bricks. If you get the same exact objections every single day and I come see you in 30, 60 days and you're still not dealing with those objections like a professional, then where the is your helmet? Why aren't you moving out of the way, and why are you still getting hit with a brick in the head? So today we'll go over some of those common objections and how to respond to them. But the main point of telling you this is you shouldn't have struggles with the same objections over and over and over again. You should get to a point, because you do it so many times, repetition, you're preparing so many times every single morning, that you get to a point where you could respond to objections blindfolded, any place, anywhere, anytime. And lastly, I'll tell you, have fun and be ready to change. Look, sales is tough. Sales gets crazy. You got to change with the atmosphere. You got to be adaptable like a chameleon. Meaning, if you get a soft-spoken client, you got to be soft-spoken. If you get an aggressive, fast client, you got to be aggressive and fast. Whatever you're getting on the phone or in the interaction, you got to match the tempo of the client you're talking to. So I tell salespeople, be a chameleon. And sometimes that means have some fun. Try different things. Get a little wacky. Get outside the box. Send a picture. Send a video. Try different introductions. Try something silly. Make some jokes. At the end of the day, you got to have fun, and the more things you try, the better odds you're going to have at finding something that works. But if you're only trying 2-3 things and you're scared to get out of your comfort zone, you're scared to get out of that little box, it's going to be tough for you to find new strategies and wins because you're not exploring enough. So get a little wacky, be ready to change, be adaptable on every single call. So number one, before we get into the exact formula of how to respond to an objection, I'm going to teach you the common objections that we get, the bricks that we get every single day in most sales industries, and how to reverse engineer them. That is the first strategy we want to learn about, is reverse engineering the objection. The simplest examples I could give you of this is initial objections in the beginning of a phone call interaction. So we get objections like, hey, I'm busy right now. Well, the way to reverse engineer I'm busy is I totally understand and I'll make this super quick for you. Pivot and take control. That's telling somebody that's busy exactly what they need to hear and reverse engineering that objection. If somebody says, hey, opt me off or stop calling me, what do they really want to hear? That you're going to stop calling them, right? So how do you reverse engineer that without losing the sale? You say, hey, I totally understand your frustration. Listen, I'll make sure this is the last call that you're ever going to get from me, but here's what I want to tell you. Take control and pivot. You tell them what they need to hear, then you take control and pivot. If somebody says, I'm working with somebody else, what do they want to hear? They're trying to surprise you with this element so that way you give up and stop bothering them, but instead you're going to tell them that you expected them to work with somebody else to reverse engineer it. So I'd say, hey, I totally understand. That's actually the reason why I was calling you. I'd never pull you away from somebody else unless it made total sense, but explain to me, what are they doing for you exactly so I make sure you're getting the best deal? Hey, I already took care of it. I'm already in process with somebody. Perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling you. I'm actually calling people in process today to make sure the process is going good and to make sure you're locked in with the best program and numbers for that process. What are you being offered? When you tell people these kind of things, they're like, damn, he knew exactly what was going on and he's not here to waste my time and this call's not going to take very long. I'm telling their ears exactly what they need to hear and listen to keep the conversation engaging and going. Now, before continuing, I want you to think about the opposite of this. I'm super busy. Oh, no worries. This will only take 10 minutes. We're only going to have to go over blah, 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 blah. Hang up. Stop calling me.
Yeah, but what were you looking to get done?
Hang up. Because we're not actually acknowledging and telling them what they need to hear. We're just jumping straight to a rebuttal. I'm already working with somebody. No worries. Well, let me see if I can still help you today. What are you working with somebody? Like, all these responses don't sound very engaging. So I want you to be more engaging. Tell people what they need to hear and do it with confidence. That's very important as well. Like, your tonality matters. If you're talking to somebody with not a strong, confident tone, they're not going to believe you already. So you have to make sure when you say something, you say it quick, fast, and precise. Hey, no worries. I'm busy myself. Not here to bother you at all. I'll make this super quick for you. What were you looking to get done? If I say it like that compared to like, oh, you're busy? Well, listen, man. I mean, I really don't want to waste any of your time. What were you actually looking to get done? Wee, woo. Like, we're doing it like we're surfing in the fucking ocean. And it's not a fucking surfing in the ocean. This is like going down a mountain on a fucking snowboard. You got to be fast, quick, precise, and pivot swiftly as you're going down the mountain. They tell you like, hey, I don't want to do anything. Reverse engineer that. Like, yeah, I totally understand. What's changed your mind? If they say, hey, call me later. Hey, I'll definitely call you later. We'll figure out a time that works for you. But before I do, tell me blah, 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 blah. And you tell them exactly what you want to hear. So reverse engineer the objection means if I froze time and I told you, listen, this client is going to say something to you. And when they say this thing to you, I'm going to freeze time, pause life, and then an angel's going to come down with wings like Cupid and tell you like, you have 5 to 10 seconds to say the perfect response. And if you say the right response, I'm going to give you $1 million. What would you say in that scenario, in that instance? Think about it. If I paid you to say the perfect response to get something back, what would you say? And that's what this is all about, reverse engineering. Telling them exactly what they need to hear to move forward. And that's the first thing I want to go over with you when it comes to handling, squashing, and responding to objections. All right, number 2, let's jump into the formula now. The formula to handle aggressive great objection is the ARC formula. It's acknowledge, respond with custom value, and tell them what they need to hear to take control, which is a C. So a lot of salespeople always miss the acknowledgement part, which is the most important part. You got to let people know that you understand them and that you hear what they're saying. So that way they think you're on their side of the fence, which you should be as a great salesperson. You should always have your client's best interest in mind. So for example, if somebody says like, hey, yeah, I'm busy, like say, yeah, like no worries, man. I'm just calling you today from blah, 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 blah. You didn't acknowledge that they're busy. Say, oh, wow, I totally understand. I'm going to make this super quick for you. I definitely don't want to waste your time while you're busy. That would be a great acknowledgement. If somebody says like, look, man, I want to shop this around. Hey, I totally understand. I'm a shopper myself and I always want to make sure I'm getting the best deal. Now, when you're shopping this around, what are you looking for exactly? So then you respond to them after the acknowledgement. So always make sure you have a nice acknowledgement after the objection to let the client know, I hear you. I'm on the same side as you. We're on the same team. We're going to figure this out together. Then after the acknowledgement, then you want to respond with value. You want to tell them exactly what they need to hear so you could take control and pivot. So the response also stands for reverse engineering. It could be reverse engineering the response, double R's in this case. So if they tell you like, I'm already working with somebody, I acknowledge and say, hey, I totally understand. I'd never want to pull you away from somebody you're working with already. That's the acknowledgement. Then I go to the response or the reverse engineer, but that's actually exactly why I was calling you, because I wanted to make sure that you're working with somebody else with the best deal. What were you being offered and what's going on with them? Not here to waste any of your time. That would be a perfect response. And then you see I went straight into the control and the pivot by asking them a question at the end and saying, what are you being offered? What's going on with them? So that way they have to answer my question now and I took control of the conversation. That would be an acknowledgement, reverse engineer response, and taking control with a pivot and asking a question. Another example for that would be like, I'm super busy. So the acknowledgement would be like, hey, I totally understand you're busy. I'm not here to waste any of your time. The reverse engineer response would be, I'm going to make this super quick for you. And then the taking control would be, what were you looking to get done? And that's the pivot. If they say it's definitely not a good time for me right now, call me later. Oh my God, I totally understand. Is everything okay? That's the acknowledgement. They say, yes, everything's okay. All right, great. I definitely don't want to waste your time, especially when you're very busy, but I do want to make sure that I have everything ready to go for you later. So just answer me this question. What were you looking to get accomplished? That's the response, reverse engineering it, letting them know I know you're busy. I don't want to waste your time, but I want to make sure I have things ready for you. And then taking control and asking the question with what were you looking to get accomplished? So that would be another example of using the acknowledge, respond / reverse engineer, and take control and pivot. So write down these 3 steps and think about the objections that you get in your industry for your product or service. How could you acknowledge, respond, take control, and pivot every single time? And again, when you practice this every single day, you get so good at it that you no longer have to practice because it's second nature. On to number 3, one of my favorites. Get rid of objections before they arise. You know, as a salesperson, I wouldn't get a lot of objections when I got very good at my craft. And people would ask me, how don't you get any objections? How do your deals just close themselves? Well, it's because I knew what objections I was going to get, knowing the person I'm talking to and following trends and behavior patterns and what they say and how they say it. So for example, I bet if you talk to somebody on the phone and I paid you $1,000 to guess the objection before they said it, you would be able to guess it every single time. You know a shopper when you hear a shopper. You know a waiter when you see a waiter. You know a spouser when you hear a spouser. All right, maybe you don't know and I just know. So let me tell you the way I know. If somebody talks about numbers a lot and going around and checking out places, they're probably a shopper. If somebody doesn't really make change in their life and they're scared of change, they have the same car for 10 years, same house for 15 years, same relationship, same job, they're probably a waiter and they don't like change in their life. And if somebody mentions their spouse 3, 4, 5 times during the conversation, they're probably going to spouse you. So whatever they're talking about, you could read those cues and you could probably guess the objection every single time. Well, this strategy is about squashing the objection every single time. So I'll give you 2 different analogies of exactly how to look at this. The first analogy is the 8 Mile play. If you ever watch the 8 Mile movie with Eminem, I've been saying this 8 Mile objection play for a long time now. Anyone else who said it after me, you got it from me. Now listen, the 8 Mile play is very simple. B Rabbit, when he went up to the stage to rap, he had a lot of stuff going on in his life. A guy slept with his girl that was rapping against him. He got beat up by the guys that were rapping against him. He was living with his mom in a trailer. And he knew the objection to the things the other guy was going to say about him, Papa Doc. He knew what was coming. So what he did, he got the microphone first in the rap battle and he rapped about himself and he said, said every single thing the other guy was gonna say. I am white, I am an effing bum, I do live in a trailer with my mom. And he kept going rapping about himself. And when he threw the other guy the microphone, the guy had nothing left to say. And that's exactly what I want you to do with your clients, in a sense of telling them all their objections and how you could solve for those objections and why this product or service still makes sense. And then giving them the mic at the end when you close, they have nothing left to say because you squashed all their objections. Another analogy I'll share with you is a back massage. You know, a good back massage typically gets rid of all the knots in your back and leaves you for a smooth back. I've gotten a back massage before with a lady me up so bad that I had bad knots in my back. It was the worst massage I've ever gotten. I thought somebody hired her, maybe my ex-girlfriends. I don't know, somebody hired her to get me, but it was a horrible experience. When you end a sales call and the client still has 3-4 objections, you didn't massage the back well. You didn't be a good masseuse. A good sales masseuse gets rid of every single objection and rotates the knots out and leaves you with a smooth back or a smooth call by the end of it. So if you think about your phone call or your sales interaction as a back massage, draw out the knots that you have inside of the back and how you're going to massage and get them out of the way. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. As we're talking about sales knots, objections, and the stuff that gets me fired up, I want to let you know in our academy, we have all the templates for you to fill out. And as a matter of fact, we even have a free playbook for you on acesacademy.com so you could fill out these objection templates and keep a playbook with you that's tangible for life. Click the link below in the bio. Make sure you check it out, join the academy, or just download the free playbook and fill it out as you go. Thanks for watching. Continue the video. All right, so you understand the analogies and you understand the story. So you have the knots in the back or you have the 8 Mile play. So now you say, what knots does my client have in their back? So I'd say the first knot might be like a spousal knot, right? So if you know the client's gonna give you a spousal objection, let's say they have 3 knots in their back for spousal objections. Well, you gotta massage those. So the first thing I'll say is like, yeah, so your spouse James, I'm sure he's gonna love everything and you guys are on the same page, right? And they might say, yeah, I'm massaging that knot a little. Then I say later on in the call, hey, and make sure that, you tell me what time James is gonna be home because I wanna make sure we all do this together when we sign the paperwork. I'm massaging the knot again. And then I say later on in the call, look, there's no reason in heaven's green earth that you and your husband James should not move forward with this. After I'm done, I'm gonna get the perfect solution going for you guys. And I massage the knot again. Another great example using the 8 Mile play is before I present my final solution to somebody, let's say I'm trying to sell you my academy and you wanna do one-on-one coaching with me. And let's say my program costs $5,000 to $10,000. And I know you're on a budget because I read that from you in the call. So before I present my final option for you, I'd say, hey James, great talking to you today, man. I got a perfect solution for you. But before I get into it, I want to let you know, man, I know things are tight for you and I know you got a budget. So I worked out a payment plan for you where you don't have to pay everything up front and it's totally affordable with what you're making right now. So here's how it's going to work. And then I go into my solution. You see what I did right there for James is I just took the price objection out of his head and squashed it so he has nothing left to say about the price because I already established it. Now doing the opposite of that, not mentioning the price and just presenting to somebody, and then I know I'm going to get a price objection at the end. Why would I do that? I'm wasting my time, wasting my breath, and making my interactions twice as long as they need to be, forcing myself to follow up and losing so much by doing that. So squashy objections every single time. Hopefully these 2 examples help. The 4th strategy I want to give you is squashing objections completely when they arise. This one is not saving it till the end or predicting it and saying it as you go, but this one is for the people that give you objections live. I don't want you to beat around the bush. I used to know salespeople that used to beat around the bush all the time. Someone would say like, is there cost to your program? Well, that's a great question. We'll get to that pretty soon here and we'll figure out if there's cost. And they dance around it and they never come back to it. Then at the end, what happens? People hang up on them because they think they're deceitful. Now, here's what I'll tell you. The best way to handle that objection, is there cost in your program? I'd say there's definitely cost in our program. But the best part about it is we make sure you make your return on investment very quickly and efficiently like thousands of others have already. Pivot and take control. You see what I did right there is I squashed your objection, told you the truth, and told you why that objection is not relevant anymore and kept moving. I'll give you 2 analogies that go great with this. One of them is a whack-a-mole game. If you ever played the whack-a-mole game, the moles pop up. The faster you whack them, the more points you get. Well, every single mole in your interaction in sales is going to be an objection. And the way you handle it and squash it is going to give you points. So make sure you're ready to handle those moles as soon as they pop up. Next analogy I'll give you is a fruit ninja game. They throw fruits your way and your job is to slash your fruits with your sword. Well, every single fruit is going to be the objection. And sometimes you get 2, 3 objections and you got to do a combo to get even more points. An example would be like somebody tells me like, hey, I really don't have time right now, man, and I'm not even interested anymore, and my wife was just poking around online, I really didn't want to talk to you. So how do I slash all three of those? I'd say, hey, I understand you don't have time right now, I'll make this super quick for you. And as far as not being interested, a lot of people think that, but they change their mind after talking to me. And as far as your wife shopping around online for this, people do that all the time, and I end up saving them thousands of dollars or helping them out with their solution. So let me tell you, and I go straight into my pivot and take control. But you see, I answered all three of those objections, and then I took control instead of ignoring them or dancing around. So think about your sales interaction. What are the common objections that pop up during your sale, and how could you squash them or slash them right away? And then when you get 2, 3 of those things, how could you slash all three? Now you might be thinking, man, if I get 3, 4 objections, it might be very tough for me to go through them fast. How do you do it, Ace? Well, I just trigger the words shopping, spouse, waiting. I definitely understand shopping, man. I wouldn't waste your time unless I could get you the best deal in the market. And as far as waiting is concerned, now's definitely the best time to do it because I could get you the best deal today and I don't know what I could get you tomorrow. And as far as your wife, I'm gonna make sure she's on board and loves everything. So tell me, blah, 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 blah. And I pivot and take control. So try to remember the trigger words and the objections you're getting. And the more you practice, the quicker you're gonna be at responding to those trigger words and the objections, getting multiple points on a combo fruit ninja. Now on to strategy number 5, the planting seeds method. This method works great, but I wanna start off by letting you know a story of how you could see an example of this. And it's a negative story, but I think it goes well with this example. So let's say you wanna fire somebody at work and you're a boss. Well, if I'm just coming in every single day and you're saying, hey, Ace, how's it going, man? Keep up the great work, fist pump, and we're coming in, we have lunch together, then on a random Wednesday morning, you call me in the office and fire me, I'm gonna be in complete shock and say, what the fuck is going on? Because I wasn't prepared for this. But vice versa, if you plant 4 seeds and you warn me 4 times and you slowly take me into the being fired when I expect it because I know exactly what I did wrong, I'll take it a lot more easier. For example, I come in late 5, 6, 7 times. You call me in the office, say, hey Ace, I really appreciate you working here, appreciate all you do, but we gotta work on the attendance, man. What's the action plan gonna be? I'm gonna send you an email. Boom, that's a seed number 1. Then seed number 2, I make a very hateful comment on the floor and somebody starts crying about it. You call me into the office, hey Ace, man, we can't be making hateful comments here. That kind of stuff, regardless of how much I like you, is gonna have me separate with you. So please apologize and make sure it doesn't happen again. Then the 3rd week, I come in late again. Hey Ace, I talked to you about being late, man. We really can't have this happen anymore. This is probably your final warning on that. And the 4th week, I do something else. Then you call me into the office and you say like, all right, Ace, so over the last 60 days, here's what happened. I called you in for this. You did that. You said this. You did that. You said this. Called you in here. Talked to you here. Now we're gonna have to separate. It's like, it's not gonna be a complete shock to me because I already expected it. But if you just call me in randomly and fire me, I'm not gonna expect it. So a lot of times when we talk to our clients and they're not really expecting something or they're really against something, like they have one big objection. Let's say their big objection is paying anything out of pocket. And let's say your program or your service, they have to pay $1,000 out of pocket and you know it's gonna be tough for them. Well, you gotta plant 4 seeds before you get to that point to make them ease into it. So the first thing I'd say is like, look, sometimes you gotta put money out of your pocket. I'm gonna make sure to try to make it as minimal as possible because I know that's important to you. Pivot. The second seed would be like, do you have any brothers, sisters, you know, that really care about you, that want you to get this done, that have some money on them, that would be able to lend you if you ever asked? That would be the second seed. Third seed is like, hey, do you have any money in the bank, checking, savings account? How are things looking for you that way? That would be the third seed. And the fourth seed would be like, look, I know that you didn't want to pay anything out of pocket. Here's the thing. The benefits of doing this and paying that out of pocket compared to, you know, losing that $1,000, I want to just compare and contrast with you both before we get into the actual final payment at the closing table. And then you go into both of them. And then at the end you say, so we talked about A, B, C, and D. Here's the reason I think this $1,000 up front is going to make sense for you. And we shouldn't stop the whole program because of it. And then you go straight into your solution. But you see, you ease them into it by planting 4 seeds and then getting them there slowly. So you spun the chair around and you sat them down at the perfect time to land right in the seat instead of spinning the chair around, letting them hit the angle, fall on the floor, and try to get back up. So plant the 4 seeds would be the 5th strategy for you to use when you're selling to people who are very, very against a strong part of your product or service and they have a strong objection towards it. There was supposed to be 5. I love you so much. I'm going to throw in a number 6 and a bonus. A bonus is going to be give a 12th round swing and use all of your resources. Meaning if you're getting objection after objection and you just can't close the deal right then and there, don't make the fatal mistake that all salespeople make with getting emotional, getting upset, and hanging up the phone real fast, saying like, all right, man, if you change your mind, call me, and I hang up. Like, why is my ego running the conversation? I just lost everything that I built. I built a house and I blew it down by throwing away the last 3 seconds. So I always say, always give your best at the very end. So I would say like, look, man, obviously you want to shop this around. We talked about why I'm giving you the best deal, but you still want to do it. I'm cool with that. Look, I want you to shop this around. I want you to get the best deal. As a matter of fact, if you need any help, let me know. I got your back till the end. Just make me your last call. Let's set up an appointment and let's make sure you shop this around right. Is that cool with you? And like I'm ending it, letting you know, like you want to shop it around, go ahead. I got your back with it. Instead of me getting upset about them shopping around, that's a great 12th round swing to make them remember you. And then as far as using all your resources is concerned, send them a text right after and send them an email right after. Say, hey, I know you want to shop this around. Here's some of the things my clients say about me. Here's why I'm number one for you. That extra text and email that you send after the conversation really goes a long way for people understanding how professional you are and how much you have their back. So make sure you always end with a 12th round swing, and then you use all your resources to really brand yourself and differentiate yourself and show them why you're their number one pick. That's a lot of stuff we just went over. I would rewatch this video many times, and make sure you download the playbooks from acesacademy.com in the free section so you can fill it out as you go and write down all of your objections and have a free playbook to leverage every single day. I guarantee you, and I promise you, I do this for a lot of salespeople, it works. If you take it serious, it'll take you serious, and you will take objections serious, which means you're not going to get many more of them because you're going to be a professional at handling them. Just to recap what we talked about, we went over the definition of objections. We went over checking your energy, expecting the bullshit, not getting hit with the same brick twice in the head, and taking responsibility and being ready to change. Then we went over the 5 strategies, which was reverse engineer, acknowledge, respond, and take control. Get rid of objections before they arise. Squash objections when they arise, and plant the 4 seeds with bonus and a 12th round swing and using all your resources. I guarantee you, if you at least take 1 or 2 of these strategies, along with checking your energy and having a 12th round swing every single time, you're gonna double your sales just by taking that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully it makes you an absolute wizard at handling objections. If you need any more assistance from me, join the Academy, weekly coaching calls. I'll answer your questions, or reach out to me via Instagram, TikTok, DM, email, YouTube comments. I got your back with whatever you need. Like, subscribe, and share the channel. We're doing this for you. And that is the 5 main strategies, the realest strategies to get rid of objections in the sales game.